Hi, I'm John McGlone, Professor of Animal Science. This is a tour of the New Deal Swine Unit. The New Deal Swine Unit is located 6 miles east of New Deal, Texas on 1729. This shows a fence around the swine unit. The fence is there for biosecurity purposes. No one is allowed in the unit unless they've been through our biosecurity protocol. You can see the buildings that we're going to look inside of later, and you can see over here the office and shower building. So if you arrive at the farm, you will either shower in or use the Danish Entry system. If you shower in, if you've been around pigs the last 3 days, then you must shower in. Now let's look at what that looks like. So let's say you were around pigs, and I'm talking about any airspace. You don't have to touch them. You go to the fair, you see some pigs, you got to shower in, and it's not been 3 days. So if you have that situation, then you'll come in this way, and you'll take your street clothes off here. You'll shower in, you'll enter the farm naked, you'll put on coveralls and boots, and then go on. Now, let's say you have not been around pigs the last 3 to 7 days. Then you're going to enter this other way, in the Danish system. Follow me. The first thing you want to do if you get here is to dip your shoes, the soles of your shoes, in this water bath that has disinfectant in it. Then you go in this entrance, the entrance with the ramp. This is the entrance for people into the Danish system. In this system, the person takes their shoes off and leaves them on this side of this wall. Also, you need to sign in to the farm. Sign in so that we know you were here. You're going to be here for either teaching, research, or a tour. Print your name, sign your name. Then step over the wall. We have coveralls here. We have socks and towels. So find a coverall size that fits you. Find some socks that you like. Go into the restroom or the bathroom. Take off your street clothes and put on your coveralls. The only thing you should have of your own is your underwear. And you'll come out of here with the coveralls and socks, and then you'll go outside this door and find a pair of boots that fit you before you enter the swine unit. Well, now that you have your coveralls and boots on, you can see the swine unit buildings. The buildings on my left over here are the farrowing barns and nurseries, and the building on the right are 2 finishing rooms. And then you can't see it, but on the other side of the farrowing rooms is the breeding and gestation building. This is the entrance to the farrowing barn nursery complex. It also has Stanley's office in it. You want to start here. Whenever you're doing a tour of a pig farm, you want to start with the youngest animals because they're the ones that are most at risk from a health point of view. So you always start with the baby pigs and then the nursery pigs, and then the sows or finishing pigs. Come on along. There are 2 farrowing rooms, the east and the west. And there are 2 nurseries in this building, the east nursery and the west nursery. Well, let's look at this farrowing barn. Now, right now, the farrowing barn's been cleaned out because they're going to move new sows in. And so there are 16 farrowing crates in each room. And one farrowing crate will have 1 sow. We'll have 1 sow and her piglets. And we've been weaning about 11 pigs per litter, so she might have 13 or 14 born, and 11 that are weaned, or 12. And this is where it all happens. all of the buildings have the same kind of waste system. If you look at the end over here, it's a flush tank system. The manure drops through the slats and it flows out to a lagoon. Where does the water come from? Well, the water comes from these automated dump tanks. So when there are pigs in here, this water is flowing, dripping, and when it gets full, this thing tips over and flushes under the floor. So it happens by gravity. There's no motors or anything. Just when the water gets to a certain height, because of the shape of this, it gets heavier and heavier on that end, and then it tips over automatically. In here, we have a ventilation system. Here's the incoming air. And the fans on the wall are where the air exits the building. Also, we have these tubes here that they were designed originally for an evaporative cooling system, a tube that goes down and blows cool air on the sow when the weather's hot. But these are not as effective as the water drip. The water drip is here. It's a water line with spaghetti tubing, and there's a timer on the wall, and when the temperature's over 80 degrees, this can come on 1 minute out of 10, and it dribbles water on the back of the sows and keeps them cool. That's more effective than the snout coolers. These controllers are the controllers for the fans, and so when you adjust them, let's say when the temperature's over, one of them may be on all the time, another fan would come on when the temperature's over 80 degrees to increase the airflow. Also, the ventilation here can be reversed. So in the summertime, in the wintertime, in winter when it's cold, the warm air comes in from the attic and goes out the sides. In the summer when it's hot, because we don't want to pull all that hot air from the attic down into the building, in the summer when it's hot, the side vents open and there's fans up in the attic, and it draws the air up to the attic and out the hot attic, so that the hot air is being blown away from the building to keep the animals cool. Also over here, this box is a controller for the water drip system. So you can set it however you want. For example, the temperature's over 80, come on 1 minute out of 10. Temperature's over 85, have the water come on 2 minutes out of 10, however you like. But 1 minute out of 10 is probably enough to cool the sow if it's over 80 degrees. Over here, we have heaters. You can see the gas heaters. These heaters have a thermostat of their own on the lower left. You can adjust that. If it's too cool in here, you can turn it up. Too warm, you can turn it down. So they operate separate from the ventilation, which sometimes isn't the most efficient way to organize a ventilation system. When the sows are weaned, the sows go to breeding and gestation. The piglets go to the nursery. Over here. This is a nursery room. This is the east nursery, the other one's the west nursery. And what you see is, in this barn, we have hens, pigs. Normally, if they're not on an experiment, 1 litter is 1 off. This is fly bait on the floor. Again, this building, just like the farrowing building, has tip tanks on the end to flush under the floor. And you can adjust those to whatever volume of water. You increase the volume of water to increase the frequency of dumping. And of course we have a heater, and we have ventilation controls in the center of the building. You can see the fans here. This is the nursery. They're normally here from 3 weeks of age until about 8 weeks of age. And then from here they go into the finishing barn. Be sure you close the door whenever you leave, because it messes up the ventilation if it doesn't close. Over here is Stanley's office. If you're looking for the herds manager, he's there, or she, maybe. And a lot of the records on the farm are in that office. This is Stanley's office, or the herdsman's office. Here there's a landline if you need to call somebody. And there's some drugs and other supplies in these cabinets. And one of the most important things here is this sign. We don't rent pigs. Anybody know where that's from? Well, if you watch the movie Lonesome Dove started in Texas, and they drove cattle all the way to Montana. And in the beginning of that show, there was a sign like this outside their ranch house. We don't rent pigs. And they had 2 pigs in that movie that followed them on the trail all the way to Montana. So that's the basis of that sign. This is the breeding and gestation bar. This is where the sows come after weaning, or the gilts come in to be bred. And then they're bred here, they're pregnancy checked here, and then when it's time for them to give birth, they get moved over to the farrowing barn. And after the wean, they come back here. So let's go inside and take a look. It's kind of noisy in here though. The first pen here is this is an AI dummy used to collect semen from boars. It's a beautiful sow for the boar. He jumps on her, you collect semen, and you go process the semen. These are the breeding and gestation pens. You can see that some sows are in gestation crates, 2 feet by 7 feet. They can't turn around. They go in here at weaning. They stay at least till pregnancy check. And then they're supposed to move over to a pen. So half of the animal spaces here are pens and half are crates. And here's a crate for 5 sows. Or sorry, 10 to 5 sows. They have individual feeding areas, and then they can socially interact. This is preferred by some consumers. You can also see that they're fed automatically, which is a feeding system. There are 2 feeding systems in this farm. This one is called a drop feeder. So the feed comes along this top auger and it goes into this container. And at a certain time, part of this moves up and the feed is dumped all at once down below. This system on the other side is different. Notice it's different configured. Instead of just one feed line, there are 2. The feed comes down the same and fills this container. And then when it comes time to feed, there's an auger in this tube. And so the feed dumps on that auger and it moves very slowly and it comes down and dumps the feed, but it doesn't dump it in one big whoosh. It trickle feeds them. So you'll see some data that we publish and others on trickle feeding. This is where sows are made to eat at a slow rate instead of gobbling up the food. And when they eat at a slow rate in group pens, all the sows can eat without each other stealing their feed. So these sows are trickle fed in crates. These are trickle fed in pens. These are drop fed in a crate or drop fed in a pen. The same kind of controls are in this barn as the others, the ventilation control. And you can see the fans on blowing the air around. Out back, we have some floor pens. We used to have a lot of boars here when we bred naturally, natural service. But now we breed entirely by artificial insemination. So we really just need 1 boar for each chicken. We don't use a boar to breed a sow here. When the farm was designed, they had to have multiple boars because they were breeding 20 sows at a time or more. And in fact, there are some boars out there in that pen. Having a good time being outdoors. This is a trailer that we use to move pigs within the farm. So if we're going to move sows, let's say, from the breeding barn to the gestation barn, we have 2 choices. Sorry, from the breeding and gestation to the farrowing barn, we have 2 choices. One is we can walk them across the parking lot, but they don't like to walk a long distance, or we can trailer them, which is what we more often do. This is a hydraulic trailer. The It goes down to the ground so animals can easily get it on and off. The back opens, and then it lifts up off the ground, hooks up to a tractor or a truck, and you can drive it from one place to another. So this is the way pigs are moved within the farm, at least the large pigs. The finishing barn, grow finishing barns are here, and they have two ventilation systems. This one is called a curtain-sided building, even though it's not really a curtain. And what happens is there's a motor that pumps air into these curtains, and they rise. When it gets cold, they almost close. And then when it gets warmer, they open more and more until they open all the way. This is a curtain-sided building. The air quality is very good inside the building when the curtains are down. The other half of the building, the other room, pro finishing room, has a conventional ventilation system, just like the farrowing barns and nursery. Rodent control is very important in a swine farm. Rodents carry disease and they eat feed. They just shouldn't be around. So these are bait boxes that are out, meant to feed the mice and potentially rats poison and to control the rodents. Sometimes the rodents are very bad here. It goes in cycles, and then we have to clean them out and then come back again slowly. Because we're out in the country and there's mice in the fields and they just come to the barn. There's a lot of feed available for them. They can just be fat and happy. This is the center area between the two grow finishing barns. What happens here is there's a scale where pigs can be brought in and weighed. And there's a door so they can go out and get on a livestock trailer and go to market. So that's what the center area is for. Plus it's used to store equipment and feed and other things that are used in research or in the normal husbandry of the farm. This is inside the curtain-sided grow finish building. You see these pens that hold about 9 pigs that are at market weight. And we have 32 pens like this in each of 2 barns. There are 64 pens that can be used for teaching and research. These pens are organized in the same way everywhere. There's a feeder, automatic feed delivery system, so we don't have to carry the food in the sack. So it fills these feeders automatically. Slotted floors. Slotted floors allow the manure to go through the slats. These slats are specifically designed for grow finishing. The width of the slat and the width of the slot, the hole between the slats, are designed specifically to this size. On the wall, on the side wall over there, you can see controllers for the curtains. So that controller is a thermostat that makes the curtain go up or down depending on how you set the temperature. Normally, this building can hold about 600 pigs in this facility. After this, the finished pigs go to market. Or they go to meat market. That's everything out at the New Deal Farm. I hope you enjoyed this video tour.